First, we're going to start out thanking our dear patrons. In the House of Flame, we have Birdie Tam,
Jade Smith,
Cheryl Eisenhower,
Cynthia Johnson,
Francie Dillon, my mom,
JS, it's just JS.
JS, it's Julie, but you know.
Hi, Julie.
Hi, Julie. Katie Grant,
Natalie Curry,
and Pokela. And then in the House of Stone, we have Allison Connors,
Krisha Dolan,
and Leah Tab. Now, for this week's blessing.
May your peepholes only be filled with kiln plugs.
Only kiln plugs?
Only kiln plugs!
Oh.
This week on the Mud Peddlers.
This week on the Mud Peddlers. So we are tackling a topic that we actually did a full-blown episode on like a year ago, but then I misquoted something rather important.
Yes.
And so we had to redo it. But essentially we are talking about Etsy versus Squarespace.
Right.
The final battle.
And it doesn't have to be Squarespace per se, but those happen to be the two biggest names.
Yeah.
Just put whatever you know, if you use it, what was that, Shopify?
Well, okay.
Like Fire something, Firefly.
So here's what I'm thinking. Firefly. So here's what I'm thinking is how we'll kind of discuss this. So in my mind, the reason that we're doing Etsy versus Squarespace is that I've used Etsy and you use Squarespace for your online selling. Shopify is kind of a different thing. I would still love to actually bring somebody on to the podcast who uses Shopify.
Oh, me too.
And then interview them about that.
Yeah.
But in this case, we're just kind of talking about like the different fees between Squarespace versus Etsy, some of the pros and cons. And I came with data, and I actually brought my my mom's laptop since I have got a big old chunker like gaming computer that I can't move around easily.
Hold on, can we just like can we settle this real quick?
Yeah.
Is it data or data, guys?
Oh my god. Potato?
It is potato.
Tomato?
But I'm a Star Trek boy.
Data. I always say data.
I say data too.
Yeah.
But then like I've been watching a lot of Star Trek recently, and every now and then Jean-Luc Picard will say data instead of data.
Maybe
but
it's
everybody else says data.
Maybe it's because he's trying to distinguish between his friend Data and the non-personified units of knowledge called
that's fair.
data.
Okay.
I don't know.
I just wanted someone in the car to be yelling, "It's data!" like at the top of their lungs. You stupid! Some English major who's like, "Ooh!"
All right, if that English major is you,
not me.
Then email us.
Yes.
Side stories at LP. No, I've been listening to a lot of last podcasts. Anyway, so all right. So in my mind, and again, tell me if you think this is kind of a good way of like structuring this conversation, because there's so much that goes into this. I feel like this episode should have a little bit more structure.
It's an ongoing.
Yeah. So I'm thinking we talk about fees.
Okay.
I'm thinking we talk about public perception and trust.
Okay.
And I think we talk about marketing and exposure, and then ease of use.
Okay.
That's kind of how I'm thinking about breaking this down.
Okay. I would also like to say from a personal experience, I have something to say near the middle of it, because there's a reason I chose Squarespace, which we've already gone over, but for any new listeners.
Well, we did not actually publish that episode.
Oh, we didn't?
No, because basically...
We did it so many times. We did it like 3 times, and we were just
No, I think, we did it... Yeah, no, you're right.
Times.
We did it 24 times.
24 times.
No, so when we originally discussed Etsy versus Squarespace, I misquoted the data in terms of...
now it's a thing.
Now it's a thing. I misquoted the data, whatever, with saying like what my income was per thing that I sold.
Right.
So because that information was incorrect and it gave a skewed perspective, I was like, we really need to re-record this. So we actually haven't even really talked that much about like why you chose Squarespace and why I chose Etsy. So maybe we can just start out with that. Like
we're doing it live.
We're doing it, yeah.
We're doing it
here.
Yeah.
So why did you choose Donte?
Oh.
Tell me, please.
Oh, we're going with me first.
Why? Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, unless you want me to go first.
No, you're good. I mean, you're good. I have a lot to say about it, though. I prefer you go first.
Bro, I have so much I literally have like...
You have data.
7 tabs open on my computer. I've got notes in my bullet journal.
Okay.
Like...
Pitter patter. Let's get at it.
All right.
All right. So, the reason I chose Squarespace over Etsy is because even though I understood that Etsy has far more traffic, which is definitely a like a thing you want, especially for like advertising, because people don't really say like, "What's your website?" People are like, "Oh, what's your Etsy?"
What's your Etsy? Yeah.
Right.
Well, they say, "Do you sell?" And then
what's your
Etsy? Yeah.
People don't ask you for like, "Oh, do you have a place you sell?" You know, they specifically ask for sexy.
Yeah, they ask for sexy. Hell yeah, they do.
And then I twerk and they buy my pots.
Yeah.
People specifically ask for Etsy because it's like Walmart. Like that's the name brand.
Right.
For creators that make things that sell like side hustles or even if it's your main hustle. Right. The reason I didn't choose Etsy is because number one, and I know this is a bit like smelling my own farts, but I wanted people to actually look for my work. I wanted fans of my work to go to my website and have my work first.
Right.
So I don't know. I kind of didn't want people to like stumble upon my work and then be like, I just buy it because it looked pretty. I kind of want people who like my work to go to my website, to read my blogs, see the pictures I put up. Like I want it to be kind of a fan page where you can also buy work.
Yeah, yeah.
You bought my work because you like me, not because you're bored and you have a shopping addiction on Etsy. Like, you know what I mean?
I feel a little called out here,
I'm sorry,
man.
I'm sorry.
I know. I love buying from like handmade people, but anyway,
right.
Yeah.
And on the same level, I also didn't like Etsy as much because, for me, and I'm gonna sound like super libertarian when I say this. For me, I don't like the facet that Etsy has so much control over the way that I sell my stuff. So in the same way that I would be like anti-establishment for like Etsy, I guess. I chose Squarespace because they gave me so much freedom.
Yeah.
They said you could put YouTube, you could cuss on there, you could put, not that I do, you could put YouTube videos on there.
Yeah.
You can make your own blogs on there. You can make you can make anything you want on Squarespace. As for Etsy, kind of has a platform where you build it and then they have a place to do that. But it's a little bit more sanctioned. It's a little bit more like you can do this here.
Yeah, and there is, just to cut in a little bit. So there is so with Etsy, there is an option to have like an Etsy website kind of, which is they call Etsy pattern. But then there's also, as most people probably know, there's the Etsy itself, which is basically where it's like you all the interface is all the Etsy interface.
Yeah.
From what I'm hearing, like with Squarespace, the biggest thing is that it's not just a selling platform. Like you get to make it like your own full-blown website. Yeah. So, but that's not to say that you can't have either or, because for me, I have a Squarespace website, but I sell all my work through Etsy.
Yeah.
So as we're having this discussion, just know that that's like,
I'm Squarespace and she's Etsy, essentially.
Well, no.
Not pro or con, just that's what we sell on.
That's what we sell on.
I sell on Squarespace.
But I have a Squarespace website.
I see, okay.
Yes, so it's not like... So when we're discussing like Etsy versus Squarespace, we're more specifically talking about the selling aspects of it.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah. Although considering that, the website in general gives you more, flexibility, is something valid and worth considering.
There's so many more things you can do on Squarespace. All the things that Etsy will give to you over time have probably already been a thing on Squarespace. Like, oh, we have this new application that you pay like $1 a month more to do. And Squarespace is like, we gave that to you with your subscription. The subscription is a bit more, and I know Etsy really charges you by the thing you put up.
I will also, because I have this data, I will be doing like a detailed walkthrough of what those fees are. So as our dear listeners and viewers, if you're interested in like knowing what that is, it's coming later in the episode.
Right. Okay. Well, just as a preface to that, right? Like I can, as a potter, I can put up like 100, 500 items a month if I felt like it on Squarespace, and it would still be the same per month as if I were putting 2 items up there.
Right.
You know what I mean? It charges me per year technically, but those years are accumulated over a month. So if it's like $20 a month, technically it's X amount of dollars per year. 12 times 20.
Right. Although they offer discounts for if you buy this full year subscription versus month to month.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So and it also allows you certain applications. So like I have the 3rd out of the 4th tier, and that one is like, oh, you have customer service, we can link another website to your website. Like anytime somebody buys something from me, it tracks immediately to a shipping website. That shipping website automatically puts in all the data for me. And so I just click like buy receipt and send. As long as my account is attached to a card that has more money coming in than going out, I'd never have to look at that account. I consistently am just selling from that account.
Okay.
It takes money. It takes like $12 to ship something, but then like $30, $40 go back into it. And then, everybody takes their percentage. But like Etsy is not part of that percentage. It's just me making the thing and the packaging along with how much it takes, because there's always a middle, There's always like the transfer fee.
Well, the transaction fee, depending on what level of Squarespace you buy, sometimes there's a transaction fee, sometimes there's not.
My transaction fee is at a set amount because I use a very... I forgot what they're called. But like I have an application attached to my store and the guy is like, hey, for every X amount of dollars you make, we charge this. But they also give you so much stuff. Like I have my own accountant from them. I have my own person who handles like me and 5 other people's accounts. He's super nice.
Okay, so is that for the shipping aspect of it, or like, so how does that?
That's
like,
the transfer. That little bit of, so like, let's say you sold something for $40,
right?
And they take out like 4% of that. You know what I mean? That's a made up number. They don't take that much really.
Yeah.
But that little fee right there covers that person who covers me as well.
So that's a part of the subscription to Squarespace. It comes with that.
My Shippo thing, my shipping thing doesn't cost money. It's free.
Shippo. Okay.
Yeah, I just buy things from it.
Could you actually go into that a little bit more? Because that's one of the biggest things for me. And again, like I'll talk about it a little bit more later.
It changed my world.
So yeah, so tell me about Shippo, because like for me, like the thought of like Etsy shipping, I think is in a lot of ways so easy that's like something I'm nervous about switching over to. So tell me about Shippo.
So what Shippo does is it attaches to your website, even if you have an Etsy, right? And it picks the lowest amount of money for the size box and the weight that you're going to ship to. So for example, I have USPS boxes. I have the small ones because the small ones fit one mug. My mugs aren't like huge or anything. I end up putting that mug in that box. That box usually costs, no matter where it goes, anywhere past like Texas actually, it's about $12 or $13. And then, you add in shipping and handling and making the item and all that.
Yeah.
But when I go to Shippo, like somebody, let's say you order a mug from me.
Right.
And then your address goes to Shippo, which is attached to my website, and it says, Lindsey bought this item. Her address is right here. What box do you want to put it in? I click 2 buttons. Click, click. And I already preset the box. So I have a box that's like mug box.
Yeah.
USPS single shipping. I put in the dimensions one time. It's set there forever. So you bought something from me. It says she paid this much. The account has cleared. The money's in the, the money's gone.
Right.
You just got to buy the label. Pick out what box you want to put it in. I click USPS box. I click how I want it shipped, so it's either like priority shipping,
right?
And then I push buy. It says, okay, just print the label, and it takes so.
That's great.
I'll show you how to do it.
So you're not, because I remember when you discovered this, because you sent me like a bunch of videos on Instagram being like, Lindsey, look how amazing this is, and I was like, what?
So like I usually spent like 3 hours in the garage just packing, and now it's like, it's almost like a chore. Like somebody buys a thing, and I'm like, oh, it's gonna take 5 seconds, but. It's so miscellaneous that I almost don't want to do it. It's so like...
But that's great that it saves so much time, because before you were basically having to, like... Okay, because in my imagination, without Shippo, if I were to switch over to Squarespace and I needed to buy a shipping label, I'm thinking, I would go to the USPS website and have to manually input everything.
Absolutely, that's what I was doing.
Okay, so then this takes care of, and you said it's free?
It's free. So what I would do is, before I would have USPS up on one thing, and then my website up on another thing. I would go to commerce. I would look at your individual thing that you bought. I would copy and paste your name, go to USPS, do that.
Oh, God.
Copy and paste your address, and then I would keep doing that. And then I would have to put in the size of the box.
Yeah.
I would have to hope the USPS website doesn't glitch, because it does all the time.
Oh, God.
Half the time it wouldn't take my card. I'd have to use a second card. So half of the time I was trying to use that card and it would ship the labels. I would have to do it on my PayPal account, which is my patron account, and I don't want to do that because it mixes the money. I don't like doing that. And then half the time it wouldn't print the labels because it updated every now and then. So the update would be like, the label size has changed, so your Dynamo printer doesn't feel like getting the right size.
Right, and the Dynamo printer, that's the label printer that you have.
Yes, the worst I have to do now with Shippo is like, it downloads all of them, it puts them on one sheet, so 10 people bought stuff, puts it on 10 labels, and it's page by page. I go down to the page, I take a snapshot, I say print snapshot, it prints.
Oh, okay.
That's my little workaround.
Yeah.
But like, usually, like if I had one that like John the Potter has, it would just print immediately.
Okay.
But it takes 2 extra seconds. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
But Shippo will also put them on a list for you. So USPS, you would have to download a single ticket, open that ticket, then you'd have to print that ticket, close that ticket, open another ticket. Shippo's like, here's the list. Just print them all, man.
Okay.
Like it doesn't, Shippo's just way easier for me.
Yeah, that seems like that. Okay, all right.
Way easier. I'll show
Thank you for going into that, because that's definitely like a a big like part of it is like shipping can be
God.
such a hassle that it's like knowing that you have a good system for it.
It felt
you know?
like taking a deuce after you showered. Like, I felt like I was wasting time. I felt unclean. I was like, why am I doing this every time?
Yeah.
Now I shit in the shower.
Ew.
Waffle stomp it down the drain.
Waffle stomp. Ew, that's gross.
Oh, you thought you were getting away?
Oh no. All right. Well, so what are some other reasons why you chose Squarespace to sell your work? Like,
well, one of the reasons that I chose Squarespace to sell my work is because of the freedom involved, and that's what I was talking about with like the libertarian mindset. Is that like I don't want to be governed by Etsy whatsoever. I'll pay you money to use your service, but I want to be able to use the service how I want to use the service. If I want to put something that like no one else agrees with, I can do that. And Squarespace is like, you have the right to do that. Like, we gave you that freedom because, like, as long as it's, well, I was going to say as long as it's not like porn, but they let you do that because you pay for the website. Etsy would be like, no. No.
Yeah, well,
you can't put that up there. Etsy also snitches on you a lot, too. So if you want to put, like, you know, like, some kind of handmade, like, fandom mug.
Oh, yeah.
Some, like, a lot of Etsy people would, like, snitch on you. But on Squarespace, like, no one really bugs you. You know what I mean? Like, no one's ever messaged me and been like...
In terms of, like, oh, this is, like, a copyright infringement.
Right, no
which
one
is
really...
always a complicated thing with fan art, which we discussed on a previous episode.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
It's just on... There's so much more traffic on Etsy, but at the same time, it's kind of like a Facebook marketplace versus, like, selling at an actual table in real life. The Facebook marketplace has so many more people. It's Facebook. Everyone's there. But also, that's kind of where Karens live. You know, if you go to an art place, it's like, they're still there, but, like, there's less of them, and they're more hesitant to, like, say junk to you. You know what I mean? Like, that's your space. You're there.
Yeah.
That's all you on Squarespace.
Yeah, I can see the difference with that because with Etsy, like, it has that built-in marketplace, so it's like you could have someone, as you said earlier, stumbling upon your work, and that's happened with me. Like, I've had some people who have purchased work from my Etsy who, you know, had never even seen me on Instagram. But I feel like the difference there is that, like, you know, like, you're really well established. Like, I feel, and that's, like, kind of one of the biggest reasons why I ended up choosing Etsy at first, was because, you know, when I first started selling my work, you know, I had maybe 500 followers. I wasn't particularly, like, well known, so I was worried about getting that traffic. Whereas now for you, like, you have such a following that people kind of know where to get your work, and they also, like, this is kind of going into a little bit of, like, the public perception and, like, trust and safety, is that, like, if someone doesn't know who you are, then there's that aspect of, like, oh, what if I order something and then something goes wrong and I never get my order? Or if, you know, what if they send it to me but they packed it really poorly so it broke on the way? With Etsy, you have that idea as a buyer where it's like, okay, well, if the seller does something messed up, I can go to Etsy. But if it's a person selling individually on their own website and you don't have that trust, you could be like, do I want to, like, do it? And I know, like, I used to do that, like, with artists that, like, I didn't know as well. I would be kind of like, oh, not sure about that. I probably, you know, most sellers, I think, are going to be genuine and fine, and it's not really an issue. But I think it does help when you have either more of a following, or you have, like, that base that you've built up that kind of has that trust in you. So that's kind of a weird way where, like, the number of followers you have, like, for you also have, like, a really popular YouTube channel, so people are more likely to go, like, oh, this guy has status, like, it's probably going to be fine if I buy something from his website.
I've had that before, actually, where, like, I think I've had 2 things break in my whole life. And somebody, bless his soul, by the way, I don't remember his name, honestly, but he was like, I ordered a rainbow mug from you and I love it. And it broke. I ordered 2 mugs, and that's the one that broke. And I was like, yeah, man, give me, like, 2 months, and I'll remake you a brand new one.
It broke on the way? Or
it broke on the way.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I've had that, too, though. Like, somebody's like, my cat broke my mug. And I'm like, I'll give you a new one. Like, don't get it twisted. I don't do it all the time. I definitely don't do it all the time. Because I'm
like, that's, like, I don't know, once it gets to,
once people are like, I just don't like my mug. It broke. Give me a new one.
Yeah, I'm like, no, that doesn't really work.
If that happens, like, I'll do it maybe once a year where someone's like... It got sent to me and I was using it and my cat broke it. I'm like, all right,
It's always the cats, too.
It's always the cats. Yeah.
They're little Lokis.
I would make a comment about like dogs being better right now, but dogs do it too, so I can't.
Yeah, their tails, man. Their tails knock things over when they get excited.
Have an animal doesn't give a damn about your mug and how special it is.
Yeah.
Your animal is not like, oh my god, it's a special occasion. Like, they don't care.
Nah.
World's best dad mug. Yeah, but Etsy does have that safety net.
Yeah.
But Squarespace, like, people would have to actively contact me, which, by the way, is all my social media.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And by contact, you mean like they like they're not the only way that they would find your website to buy your work is if they either somehow through a search through Google or whatever found your work, or they would more likely have seen you on YouTube or Instagram or your other social media.
They follow any of the 10,000 links in the description below.
Yeah.
There's Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, like, there's all the things.
Yeah.
And they just gotta message me.
Yeah. Well, they don't even have to message you to buy it because you have it, like, you have your items listed on your...
Yes.
Yeah.
I will say when I first started Squarespace, I put my email address up there so that I can, like, you can message me if you need.
Yeah.
But then I would just get people who would message me with really weird concerns, or they were like, I had a couple people try and hack my account.
Oh, God.
And then I was like, nope, taking that off. I can't trust you guys.
That's a shame.
I remember one, and this is a side story, I'll be quick.
Okay.
I remember one person in specific was like, hi, I want to talk to you about your recent episode about Sgraffito. And I was like, yeah, what about it? She goes, that's not Sgraffito. And I was like, that is Sgraffito. And she's like, no, Sgraffito is when you, like, put under... She explained it to me, and I was like, yeah, I have Google, too. I know what it is. Like... Yeah, but we went back and forth like 5 or 6 times until I had to be like, look. And I broke down like my entire essay, because I made like a little essay before that episode. And I had to be like, this is why we're calling it Sgraffito. Here's the definition of Sgraffito. Here are the standards of Sgraffito. Here's when it was made in Renaissance Italy. Here's what it was done. Here's when it was done in the Grecian era. They didn't call it Sgraffito. They did it with black... I explained all of it.
Yeah.
And she was like, well, I think you should have... There was prettier pictures you could have put. And I was like, I think you're just cornering yourself because you don't like the episode, which is fine.
Yeah.
But after that little incident, I was like, I'm taking my email off. You're abusing it. Like, you're not...
Yeah.
And I was like, I feel... I'm not trying to tell you off, but also, like... I think you just didn't like the pottery I made, which is fine, but just say that.
Yeah.
Instead of, you know what I mean? So you don't really have that protection on Squarespace that you would have on Etsy.
I don't know. I feel like with Etsy, though, I mean, you can still, because one of the issues with Etsy is because they have the review system, like one of the... A little shout out to the Instagram account, Small Biz Memes.
Oh, yeah. Follow them.
Follow them. They're great. They have got, I mean, be warned that it will probably make you really angry because most of the things they post are like people posting reviews or sending messages on Etsy.
Yeah.
Where it's like a 1-star review because they didn't realize that it was a digital product and not a physical product. And it's like, and you can't really like do anything about that. So it's like, I feel like either way, you're gonna, I mean...
Well, as someone who sells, you're like, yeah. But if you're a consumer, like if you're someone who just like consumes products, you're probably gonna be like, these are reasonable. Some of these concerns seem reasonable.
Yeah. No. I mean, I was gonna say like as a seller, that sucks though.
Oh.
Like getting a 1-star, like, cause if I, like...
Oh, make you angry in that way.
Yeah.
I see. I thought you meant like as a consumer, they would see it and then be like, that buyer's a butt.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean that too.
Yeah,
that too. But I more so mean like as someone who's selling on Etsy, it's frustrating when you get folks that do that kind of thing. I've been incredibly lucky that I have not really had any issues like that. You know, knock on wood. I'm gonna knock on wood through my hand so that it doesn't mess up the audio. Donte, that's it.
I knocked on wood.
Oh my goodness.
Well, does Etsy have a system in which you can like block or report somebody?
You know, I don't know. I don't think they do.
They should.
Yeah. So, do you want to talk about fees?
About fees?
Yeah, I want to.
Yeah, we could talk about fees. My fees are
fees.
incredibly simple on Squarespace.
Okay.
And I made them that way because my brain goes,
oh,
as long as I make more than that amount per month on my shop, I'll be okay.
Yeah.
That's all I care about. And my percentages for transfer fee and then the cost of Etsy, and then the rest of it's in-house. So the rest of it's like packaging, shipping, handling, and like how much it takes to make the product. And that's it. That's my whole equation.
Yes. Okay, so I have the information for Etsy.
Okay.
Squarespace Business, which is like their first sellers tier, and then Squarespace Basic Commerce.
Do you, by chance, because I just remembered who I sell through, Stripe. How much does Stripe cost for transfer? Are you interneted up right now?
Yeah.
Can you internet it?
I can internet it.
Can you do the Google?
Stripe.
I
Wait,
put
why
a
are we
the
looking
in the
at
middle of it so that it's more relatable to you.
2.9%.
Easy, yeah.
Plus 30 cents per successful card charge. So Squarespace, you can't just buy through Squarespace itself. You have to have a third party.
So we should go through that real quick.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I first found out when I started building my Squarespace that you cannot take your account at like Bank of America, Golden One, whatever, and just have people buy from you and then transfer the money directly into your account.
Okay.
I don't know why. I'm sure somebody knows out there why, but you need a third party. That third party is always going to charge a transfer fee. That transfer fee usually comes as a percentage. And that's like, you just looked that up on Stripe for me.
Yeah.
It's 2.9% plus 30 cents per like every card transaction. Yeah, it is actually illegal for me to, at least where I am, I don't know about you guys, but where I'm from, it's illegal for me to say, hey, buy my thing, the money goes directly into my bank account.
That's crazy.
It is, because you have to have like a third party somehow.
Oh, okay. So I need to integrate that into my calculus here because I did not. Oh, that's interesting.
Your third party is just Etsy. Etsy just does it for you.
Yeah.
My third party is an application that comes from my website. Mine's called Stripe.
Right.
And Stripe is like, hey, we charge 2.9%.
2.9% plus 30 cents
per every
per
card.
item. Yeah. So
I always thought it was 3.1% for some reason, but 2.9 plus 30 cents ain't bad.
Yeah, that's actually comparable with Etsy, to be honest.
Yeah. But just to be clear for anyone who's like, oh, Etsy or Squarespace, there, no matter what you do, there's almost no way to get around that transfer fee. And I was super, like, I was in the bank branch going like, why? And they were like, it's just, you can't. And I was like, explain to me why that's, like, why? This seems like an extra step that I don't need. Just seems like you're taking more money from me.
Yeah.
And they're like, it's just the way, it's just, like, nobody was like, this is the actual reason.
Right.
It's for your safety.
Let me actually, I'm going to backtrack a little bit and explain how I set up this.
Because all these numbers stack, I assume.
Right.
It's like they charge you here, they charge you there, they charge you, you know, like.
Right. So I'm just going to walk through how I set up this Excel spreadsheet to kind of talk about the different fees.
Okay.
So I list the item price, the number of items sold, and then the total price of items sold. Then I break that down into a service fee, a transaction fee, a shipping fee, and a payment processing fee. And then with Etsy, there's also the listing fee. And then I total that all up, and then I basically compare it between Etsy, Squarespace Business, and then Squarespace Basic Commerce.
Okay.
Squarespace also has a third tier called Squarespace Commerce Advanced. So there's basic commerce and advanced commerce. The advanced commerce is like $49 a month, so I didn't even look at that yet.
I think I have the second or third tier.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. The information that I have right now is, and again, I'm just gonna list through it real quick. So the service fee for Etsy is $0. You don't pay any monthly fees.
Right. If you just have it and you've done nothing with it.
Right.
Okay.
For Squarespace Business, if you buy the year subscription, it's $16.10 a month.
That's what I do.
For Squarespace Basic Commerce, again, if you buy the year subscription, which gives you a discount, it's $20.25 per month.
Okay.
Then there are then there's the transaction fee. The transaction fee for Etsy is 6.5%. Then the Squarespace Business is a 3% transaction fee. For Squarespace Basic Commerce, it's a 0% transaction fee. Next is the shipping fee. Now for this, I based it on the USPS flat rate medium box just because that's what I use. So it's like...
You have larger mugs.
I've got larger mugs. That size works for me. So for Etsy, because they get a big corporation discount or a big like business discount on the boxes, a flat rate medium box is $14.50 per box.
Okay.
For Squarespace, whether you have business or basic commerce, it's $16.25 a box.
Okay.
Now for the payment processing fee. So Etsy has a payment processing fee of 3% plus 25 cents per item. Now this number is estimated because that number pulls from the final sales price, including taxes.
Oh my god.
But I have not included the taxes in my item price. So it's a little bit of an estimate.
This is a lot of numbers. Okay.
It's a lot of numbers. I'm trying to go through it as slowly as I can. And again, if I can figure out a way to share this file with everyone, I will do that so you can kind of plug and play.
I'm monkey brain.
Yeah, no worries. If I was on your end, I would not be able to keep track of all of this.
I'm monkey brain, so I think there's a way to like whittle it down.
Okay. The thing that I want to the reason that I want to get this specific though is because this is the kind of stuff that when I was first trying to figure out like or when I've thought about converting from Etsy to Squarespace, this is the nitty-gritty detail that I really needed because it took, and that's like one of the big things I'm like with our podcast. Even though we speak generally about some things, I want to be able to get in these specifics because this is the kind of stuff that like can make or break, and there are things that you don't like realize, like again the transaction fee versus the processing fee. Anyway, so to essentially break it down, like now this is again, I don't know whether or not, because for the payment processing fee, I guess the payment processing fee would be the Stripe. Is that right?
Yeah, the payment yes, essentially yes.
Okay, so
and that's 2.9 plus 30 cents.
Okay, I'm going to add that to basic commerce real quick.
Okay.
All right, so we've taken a second and we've done some math.
We've taken a bit.
Yeah, so what I basically did is I included on Squarespace Basic Commerce and Squarespace Business on my little thing here, I've added the payment processing fee that you use for Stripe. So I understand there's different payment processing fee companies. Like I think PayPal is another one that you can do.
Yeah.
But we're just going with Stripe for the purpose of getting some solid numbers for this example.
I do Stripe because it came with so much extra stuff. Which, by the way, if you run a Squarespace, you can choose your own payment processing people. Mm-hmm. But just research how they... I would much rather pay 1% more per thing and like have a wonderful experience than I would go with like PayPal, which is notorious for being like...
Notorious?
It's notorious.
Notorious.
PayPal has a bad reputation for being like, oh, a customer wants their money back, we gave it back to them. But it wasn't, but they already have their product, nothing's wrong with it. Yeah, get good, nerd. You know, so I went with Stripe because I had such a fantastic experience with the person who handles my account, to be honest. And I would much rather have that and give up 1% extra than consistently be losing business from people just like who are unhappy customers for weird reasons. Like, it wasn't the right shade of red. You ordered it, man.
Yeah.
You know, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so for the example that we're bringing up, what we're going to do is we're going to have an example of a $60 mug.
Let's go with one $60 mug.
$60 mug. And then we're going to talk about like what the monthly fee and then the yearly fee and basically like what the difference would be between a couple of them.
Right.
So, all right.
Let's go with Etsy first. So if we had a $60 mug, how much does it cost? The first fee is putting it up there, right?
Yes.
Because Etsy doesn't charge you for having the website. It only charges you if you put stuff up there. So that's $60, and how much does it charge you to put it up there?
Yeah, and if it sells,
the
for
$60, which is the asking price of your pot. This time we're not talking about how much it took to make it, the shipping and handling. We're just talking about.
Well, in this case, I actually did include shipping.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
okay.
Because for me, shipping's a flat rate fee, and I integrated it into the price.
Okay, so we'll just say the medium box for you.
Yeah, for me it's a medium box,
we'll
and
medium.
it's so this is included. This is the cost including shipping fees.
Okay.
Not including shipping materials.
Yes.
Not including cost of materials to
just
make
shipping
the cup.
Fee.
Just shipping fee. Yeah, the fees that are through Etsy, like the listing fee, processing fee, etc., and the shipping fee.
I will also say, as a side note, the shipping fee is malleable based on the service you use. So like I have a box that's about the size of Lindsey's USPS medium-sized box, but they call it like select parcel, and that's $13 for me.
Yeah.
So just take the shipping with a grain of salt because it really matters how you do it.
Yeah.
Shippo really opened my eyes. Shippo was like, you could use a box that's 10 by 10 by 10. Just click this button and it'll cost a halfpenny.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
You know?
And we did an episode talking about the different ways that we handle shipping, so if you're curious about more of that, then you can head back and listen to that previous episode.
100%.
Yeah. Okay, so for a $60 mug, the transaction fee would be $3.09.
Okay, so
I have it's all calculated here. I already got the numbers.
But I feel smart with a calculator.
Do you want the calculator?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So for the shipping, the transaction fee is $3.90.
Okay.
The shipping fee, again for a flat rate medium box, is $14.50.
Okay.
The payment processing fee is $2.05. And then the listing fee is 20 cents.
Okay, so minus 0.2.
Right. So the total fee for that one $60 mug, including shipping, is $20.65.
Okay.
Yeah. Is that what you got?
No.
What did you get?
I got $38.90.
What? Oh, so I'm talking about the added fees.
Oh, and I'm going backwards.
Yeah, you're going backwards. Or
I'm starting with 60 and then
going down.
and then going down because
Right.
each and everything minuses money from you.
Right. And I'm talking about the total fees.
Oh, just for example, right? So let's do it one more time. So
Okay.
okay. I'm gonna start off with a mug that costs $60 on Etsy, right?
Right.
And we're just gonna keep negativing the money. New
Right.
word, negativing.
Negativing, yes.
until it gets to the price, the amount of money that you're gonna get. So it's 60.
Yeah.
Minus.
$3.90.
And what's that?
The transaction fee.
Okay, 3.9 transaction
3.9.
fee. Okay, next.
Shipping fee, 14.5.
Minus 14.5, and that equals 41.6 right now.
Okay.
Okay.
And then there's the 2.05, which is the payment processing fee.
Okay, 2.05.
Yes.
So I have 39.55 is how much your takeaway is.
I have 39.35.
That's still $39, even though our math might be wrong. That's still, so your takeaway is essentially still $39, right? If you sold a mug on Etsy regular style for $60, you're almost at half the amount of money.
Right.
Right? Okay, now let's do a Squarespace example.
Okay.
If you had one item on there from Squarespace and it was $60, it's a $60 mug, keep in mind they charge you monthly. It's like 24 something.
It depends. So the Squarespace business is, if you buy the year subscription, is $16.10.
Right.
If you have the Squarespace Basic Commerce, which comes with more features, it's $20.25.
Let's say it's that one.
Okay.
Let's say it's that one.
Okay. Cool. So I'm going to be talking about the fees. So whichever has the greatest fee. Yeah. So not like what the actual price of the mug will be, but how much you're paying in fees. So the Squarespace Basic Commerce fee, so that's the second tier of Squarespace. If I were to sell one $60 mug, and again doing the flat rate medium box,
right,
the monthly fee would be $36.05. Mm-hmm. But that's knowing that Squarespace has a monthly fee. So this is an example of where, like, if you're only selling one item every month, like,
Squarespace ain't it.
Squarespace,
honestly,
because you have that $25 base fee anyway.
You need to be producing if you have a Squarespace.
At least selling enough to make up for that $20 amount.
Yeah. When I got the website, my brain was like, as long as I make more than $24 a month, it pays for itself. And that's like a mug if I lowball it. Yeah. That's like a teacup. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So let's say we were to sell 20
mugs?
$60 mugs, right.
20 $60 mugs.
So
there's 20 on Etsy, there's 20 on Squarespace.
Right.
Got it.
So the total fee for Etsy would be $413.
GD, Steven.
Right. And the monthly fee for Squarespace would be $345.25.
That's still a lot.
Yeah, well, no, that's all. But keep in mind, that's including shipping fees.
Okay, so that's including like everything.
Yeah, that's all of the transaction fees, all the listing fees, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And shipping. Another thing I'll add, just for clarification.
Yeah.
Let's say every month you sold 20 $60 mugs.
Yes.
The difference between Etsy and Squarespace Basic Commerce is $813
for a year.
For a year. Okay. So if you use Etsy versus Squarespace Basic Commerce, you're gonna and you're going by this number, you're gonna pay $813 more using Etsy
than if you went with Squarespace.
Than if you went with Squarespace Basic Commerce. Yes.
Okay. Well, to be fair, Etsy does come with notoriety, name.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, way more traffic. Mm-hmm. I don't even do Etsy, but like still.
That was one of the biggest things that like impacted my choosing to go with Etsy in the first place as well. Like, because Etsy also, it'll show you like the analytics of, how much like traffic, you're bringing versus Etsy is bringing. What? Is that all the boba?
I didn't think about it. And then I stuck boba in my mouth.
Oh, Bo, no.
And now I have cheek balls.
Ball to your little chipmunk. Yum, 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 yum. Anyway, yeah. So with Etsy, having that built-in marketplace does make a difference. So it's kind of like if you're, all things considered, if $60 if you're selling $20, $60 mugs, that's not that much. But if you were to put that higher, like let's say I was selling $30, $60 mugs a month, then you're looking at a difference of closer to $1,300. So it's kind of like the more you sell and the more expensive stuff you sell on Etsy, the more those fees rack up. And you kind of need to decide for yourself based on, this is just purely considering fees, whether or not that the traffic you're getting from Etsy and whether the social standing that Etsy has as an e-commerce site, you know, whether those things are worth the extra money that you are spending using Etsy's services. Now, there's a whole other side of this conversation, which I definitely want to ask you about and kind of get your thoughts on, is the kind of, yes, I know you're the, it's almost like we co-host this podcast, Donte. What? So even though we just went pretty deep into the fees aspect of it, deeper and deeper, there's the whole other aspect of Etsy, which is kind of like the other business practices and then like the moral aspect of Etsy. And just to kind of lay this out a little bit, when I talk about the business practices, one of the biggest things, and sorry, I'm going to go on a little bit of a thing.
You're good.
Okay.
Should I make one more point before you go on a thing? Or
it sounds like you want to make one more point before you go on a thing.
I do.
Before I go on a thing.
A tiny one.
Okay, go.
Okay. I will say that I will also say, for benefit of Etsy, that like if you have an Etsy, it's kind of already built for you. But Squarespace,
yes.
I had to spend like 2 or 3 days mapping everything out, and I've had a couple friends who have Etsy's, and I've had a couple friends who have Squarespaces. And like Etsy's just like, here, we built it for you. Just sell your stuff here.
Yes.
Put it on our shelves, and we'll take care of the rest. As for Squarespace, it's like build your own thing.
Yeah, and the fact that it only took you 2 days is amazing because for
did it so
me,
easily.
it took me like 2 months to get my whole website
You're far more
going.
intricate than I. Like you're.
Yeah,
like,
no, that's true.
You know
I
what mean?
add a lot more to my website.
I put like a black background. I put my symbol up there, and I put all my links up there, and I put a YouTube video up there, saying like, "Oh, welcome to the shop." And then I made the website its own little private video.
Right.
And then after that, I kind of put my stuff up there. And I said, okay, here it is. I put far more work into putting items on my website than I did the website.
Right.
That being said, I've had friends who have Squarespaces, and they're like, it doesn't look good. And I'm like, well, they gave you freedom to build your own place. So if it doesn't look as good as Etsy, that's kind of just your fault.
Well,
I feel bad saying that, but like, it's ugly because you made it.
I will say too, though, with Squarespace, like if you don't mess with it that much, honestly, their base templates are really good.
Yeah.
Like for mine, I didn't really change that much from my like base website design that I got.
Yeah.
So it's like, know that like in terms of the difficulty, it's not like you're having to like program your own whole website, or it's not like you're using WordPress, which is notoriously difficult to create, you know, and admittedly like so I feel like in terms of difficulty level of like getting your stuff up online to sell,
Squarespace is easy.
Etsy is going to be the easiest,
yeah,
and then Squarespace, and then like a more difficult platform.
And then other stuff we don't.
Yeah, like WordPress or something like that.
I agree.
But that's a really good point though, is that like for just starting and getting your stuff out there, Etsy is going to be the easiest thing to do.
Absolutely. Even if you need the encouragement to sell 1 or 2 things, even if you're like nobody likes my work, the second you sell one thing on Etsy, you're like, I'm a god.
That's so true.
That's
so true. Like, oh my god, I remember the first times I started selling work, I was like, ah! And not just to like friends and family and like people that I knew, but like, you know, total straight, and
and you're like, I'm gonna buy my way into heaven. That's how rich I am.
Yeah. It's pretty great. It
feels good, right?
Yeah. But then
when you get more notoriety, you start the nitty gritty.
It becomes and one of the biggest things there to take account of, and this comes into like the business practices thing, is that with you know, like we're all at the mercy of the algorithm.
All of us.
And one of the biggest ways that you can buffer against that is by building an email list.
True.
Now with Etsy, you do not have access to your client's email. So like if someone buys something from you from Etsy, it's not like there's a way to easily like have them then sign up for your newsletter or you don't have access to that. But with Squarespace,
I get all your emails.
Right, exactly. And that's I mean, again, like not like we're selling them or anything, but that's really important for creating a buffer against not only the algorithm, but like also like with Etsy, they have complete control over your business, and so they could shut you down and you would not have that much recourse to buffer against that. So anyway.
Well, that's what I was saying, and I know I keep bringing this up, but that's what I mean with like the libertarian stance, is that like, if you've ever bought a mug from me or anything from me, I have all your information. I have all of it. but I don't do anything with it. I don't need to control you. Your whole job is to buy stuff from me and enjoy my content and be done with it. I don't know what Etsy's doing with your information. Like, I have no idea. It's like a corporation of people. Yeah. You know, like, anytime we're like, oh, no, we're safe, and then 2 years later, it's like, Google was selling your information the entire time.
Oh,
like,
my...
I just straight up don't trust corporations at this point.
Oh, yeah, no.
My Squarespace kind of seems like a mom and pop shop where it's
no, they're not. I mean, they're a big-ass business.
Are they? Well, now I don't trust them now.
Well, interesting.
Yeah.
No, but that's the other thing, too, is that, like, with... like, in terms of things that you're obligated to do or, like, the amount of freedom that you have. I mean, not that I'm, like, a freedom kind of person.
Yeah, I'm not, like, pro-ultra freedom, because too much will spoil the...
But that's the other thing with Etsy is that if you make over $10,000 a year on Etsy, you are automatically enrolled in their offsite ads program. And how that works is they're able to advertise your products on other websites. But if someone buys that product I can't remember if it's they buy that product or buy something from your store within like a 30-day period, then they take 12% of that fee on top of everything else.
Are you telling me they like make you forcibly advertise and then they take more off the top?
Yes.
Oh, I hate that.
Dude, I know. And so it's interesting when I listened to a podcast with, I believe it was Hammerly Ceramics, was talking about why he made the switch away from Etsy, and that was a huge thing for him because because he's so popular, he was losing so much money from people buying things from these offsite ads. So that's another thing too, is that like, and I don't mean to be like completely trashing on Etsy, but it's like the other things to consider is that like Etsy again like the decisions that they've made as a company over the last like 10 years from allowing like more like dropship options. So basically you don't have to, you can basically add production partners.
Okay.
So that's one decision that they made. They've continued to increase the prices. They introduced the Etsy Star Seller Program. So they basically, the things that they've done have changed Etsy from being a place where you can reliably source from small business people and small creators to being something where it's more like, it's almost kind of like Amazon. Like if I were to go onto Etsy right now, for like I researched, I read a bunch of stuff beforehand.
It's just that's a loaded statement, but it's true.
And the thing that's frustrating, like I was talking to my mom about this inside, but before we were starting the episode, and she's like, well, but I see, Etsy, and she was bringing up like the marketability aspect because people ask like, oh, what's your Etsy? It's very well known. Yeah. And the thing that I was telling her about is like, that's the thing that's really challenging about Etsy is because it has, especially for people who aren't in the weeds of it like we are, or like the like business sellers are. Yeah. Etsy has a reputation of being like, oh, it's a small business seller. Yeah. But you don't realize that like on the inside of it, they do so many things that are kind of messed up, not only just to like, they promote themselves as being a retailer of like, or like a platform for small business owners and small producers, but the business practices they've put into their company do not support that. And so it's just like, I don't know, like I'm not completely convinced that I'm going to step away from Etsy yet. Just because like I need to figure out some of the things like taxes, because Etsy automatically collects and remits taxes for you, which is really convenient. And so that's something else I need to figure out. So it's like, for me, the benefits that Etsy has of providing like that marketplace and everything is still kind of worth it. But like Etsy's kind of messed up as a company. Like I feel it's like every time I order from Amazon, I feel a little bad. And every month where I continue to use Etsy, I feel a little bad.
Just less bad.
Yeah, just like, it's more just like the inconvenience of having to switch and that learning process of figuring out what I will need to do differently is the only thing stopping me, or is basically the only thing stopping me from switching away from Etsy. And last thing, sorry, before I get off my rant. Okay. Last thing too is that like part of the reason I wanted to talk about this now is that Etsy just recently increased their sellers fees from 5% to 6.5%.
And the sellers fee is?
That was the transaction fee.
Okay.
Yeah.
So every time you sell a pot,
it's no longer 5%, it's 6.5%. And there's been a bunch of people who are basically boycotting or planning to boycott Etsy and basically saying like, I believe it's from April 11th to like the 18th, they're encouraging people to put their shops on vacation mode and not buy anything from Etsy. To basically say like, hey, right now Etsy, the company, is controlling everything that we do, and we as small creators who are part of what's making Etsy profitable, because again, like Etsy posted like record profits this year.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like we need more of a voice. So there's then a lot more pushback against Etsy for their business practices, and and that's what makes it hard, because like if you are as a small business person, if you want to use Etsy, it's not like I'm gonna be like, how could you? It's like, no.
Yeah, I'm not gonna.
Yeah, like Etsy really does provide some great things, but there's also all these other things that go beyond the outside person going, oh, Etsy, that's a great place for small business people to sell their handmade works. Like, no, it hasn't been that for like a decade.
Well, that's the thing. It's interesting to hear your perspective as an Etsy seller coming from the outside, because you're right. Etsy does have that kind of mom and pop feel of like, oh, you're supporting handmade. Oh, like, and I know I harken on them a lot, but like the person who's like online shopping in their house, you know, like the upper middle class people who are just kind of like, you know, they're just like, oh, I'm buying from I'm supporting, like I'm making sure those artists don't starve on the inside,
which is great. I'm also
which is fantastic. Yeah. At the same time, they're probably like, Etsy's taking them, shit, like, you know, and it's,
what do you mean?
Etsy's taking them money.
Oh,
and they raised them so like it's weird, because I feel like Etsy's given handmade artists a platform to stand on while simultaneously making sure their platform is clearly bigger than yours. Like, oh yeah, your platform's nice, and I know, like, we got money, but like, what about like more money? Like, what about like more money for? And it feels, from your point of view, or at least I'm gonna razor it down, because you know, it's just like taking a mom and pop shop and putting it inside of a Walmart does not make it a mom and pop. It's still in Walmart. Yeah. You know, and the business model of Etsy is very slowly becoming like, well, this is the way we make more money, and if we make more money, you can make more money. And it's like, I was kind of doing okay, right, but like, if you make too much money, we need more money. And you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
Okay, but like, I wanted my own space and I thought it was like pro-creator. Like, yeah, but not without me, though.
Yeah.
Not without me, though.
Yeah.
You're going to get in the establishment. But I'm a mom and pop shop, where we're taking all your effing mom and pop shop and putting them in the establishment.
Yeah.
And it's, you know what I mean? At least.
And it's like almost anywhere you sell is gonna take a cut.
It has to.
That's not the problem. Like, that's how businesses work. Whether it's a gallery, whether it's the 2.9 plus 30 cent, you know,
they have to.
thing for Stripe. It's like, yeah, that makes sense. But it's like the degree to which they do that, and also like to me, like, I've worked in places. This is like my own little like chip on my shoulder, but like, I've worked in places where it's like they profess a certain set of values for their business.
Oh yeah.
And then they totally don't do that at all.
Yeah. Oh, we're
and
a family here.
Oh my god.
Family wouldn't call out when they're sick.
Oh my god. Yeah, no, that stuff drives me crazy.
I agree with you. Like, I've been to places where they're just like, well, you know, you're like a brother to me. And a brother wouldn't not help me with my shift. You'd give 30 minutes off the clock. And I've started to understand that that's like
toxic.
And please forgive me, because I don't like to use these terms lightly, because I feel like there's a large group of people on the internet who will call very small things big things. Like, they'll make mountains out of pebbles, and you're like, it's not that. It was a TikTok, my guy. Like, no one's being actually abused here. You know what I mean? It's like, companies are seriously getting really good at emotional manipulation of their workers in order to hit a bottom line and make that bottom line larger. And they always sell it as like, yeah, we're making money for the cut. It feels cultish. It feels cultish, and I don't like it, and they constantly sell you. And I really do appreciate the weird, like, TikTok. You seen those TikToks?
Nah.
There's TikToks, people who are like, the boss is like, oh yeah, I'm gonna need you to be here 10 minutes before your shift to be ready to clock in at 2 o'clock, so I need you to be here at 1:50. And she's like, so you're gonna pay me for those 10 minutes? And then she's like, no, I just need you to be here 10 minutes before. Because if you're early, you're on time. And she's like, God. I'm paying you for my time and labor.
Yeah.
And you're gonna pay me for my time and labor. I'm giving you the amount of time I agreed to. Incrementally, if that adds up, you've wasted my life and my time, and you're not paying. Like, I'm not. These are wage theft. I'm not doing it. Yeah. And then they go to like, but we're a family here. Yeah, and then you're like, okay, now you're trying to emotionally manipulate me like some kind of commercial of QVC to buy your. Like, I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. Yeah. And yeah. I have a big bone to pick with them too. Yeah. I'm glad you said that. Yeah. No. I mean, it's just There's a lot. There's a lot. Do you want to just kind of recap? Because we kind of initially talked about
fees, public perception and trust and safety, marketing and exposure, and ease of use as like ways of comparing. So why don't we go through real quick? We'll work backwards, kind of summarizing what we talked about: ease of use, Squarespace, and then Etsy. So what are things that are like easy, good to use, and then difficult to use for Squarespace? And then I'll do this, and we'll make it kind of like a lightning round. So we'll do it kind of quickly.
I will echo what you said earlier. Is like, Etsy is clearly easier to use because it's already built for you. Squarespace clearly takes effort to build, but the amount of effort in comparison to other online websites and building platforms is so much more easy. They have, like you were saying, the templates are just there for you.
Yeah.
They have applications on there. Like, when I got into it, they were like, oh, you're at the tier where you get all these applications. The applications cost a little bit more, but they can make you more money if you use them correctly. Like, my Stripe account goes through Squarespace.
Yeah.
And the only reason I know about it is because they were like, here's a list of buyers, here's a transaction people. You can pick anyone you want, pick them wisely. You know, there's like 3 or 4. They all have different percentages. It's up to you.
Right.
Etsy is gonna be like, you get what you get.
Yeah.
I don't care how we handle it. We're gonna handle it. Like, for the bottom line.
And that does make it easy, along with shipping. Like, shipping with Etsy is stupid easy.
Yes.
And it sounds like unless you use an outside program like Shippo, Squarespace has some difficulty, or make it the ease of use is a little bit less.
Yeah, Etsy has that kind of Shippo thing built into it, but with Squarespace you have to find your own shipping. Like, I only know about Shippo because somebody told me about Shippo.
Yeah.
And then someone else wanted me to go to like Pirate Ship, something like that. That's another one, but they essentially all do the same thing with different percentages.
Yeah.
It's just the way you like to use it. I like Shippo just because I can preset everything, and as long as I don't do anything like overly large or extravagant to sell on my website, which, you know, then like, I don't have to deal with it. My mug boxes are always one size.
Yeah.
My plate boxes are always one size. My gourd's one size. My bottle's one size.
Yeah.
There's a button preset. I can click that. It goes, cool, that's the size of the box. Where do you want it shipped? Shipped over there. Okay, it's going to cost about this much. Do you want it priority? Do you want it first class? Do you want it? And then I click one of those ones. It goes, it's going to cost this much. You want to buy it or not?
Yeah.
And that's it. I imagine the same thing with Etsy.
Yeah, with Etsy, it's basically all built into the website. You get the discount for using Etsy. Another thing that's easy about Etsy is they automatically collect and remit sales tax for, I think it's like all but like maybe 3 states.
Yeah.
And you don't have to, like, there's a way to like add
Florida.
Actually, no, they do charge for Florida. Wow. There's a way to add, like, there's a way to manually add it, but I haven't manually added anything, and it still automatically like collects those taxes. So that's like easy to use. Okay. So for marketing and exposure.
Oh, it's immediately Etsy takes that one. Just the fact that people don't ask you what your website is, they go, what's your Etsy? Like, it's already cemented in your mind that Etsy is the place where like homemade crafters go to sell their work.
Yeah.
Like, there's no beating the cycle of like people who think that Etsy is a homemade place to sell, and then like that goes into their minds, and then you sell them the product, and that, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just, there's no way to beat it unless you already have a name in the world where you can say, hey, my website is here.
Yes.
You have to be bigger than, or as big as the website of Etsy.
I would disagree with that. I don't think you have to.
Oh, you would, you nerd.
Yeah. Well, no, because I mean, like, because you're not bigger than Etsy, but you still are able to sell enough to make up for not selling on Etsy.
I still have my piece of cake,
Yeah.
That's fair.
So as long as you, like, Etsy may be easier, especially if you're starting out, but if you already have a decent sized following, it's, you know.
Right, it's okay.
Yeah.
Etsy's definitely a place to start off on, but like, I don't know, once I had my own name, I'd be like, I'm good. Etsy.
Yeah.
I don't know. They control a lot of things. If Etsy changes, like they recently did, you're changing with them.
Yeah.
You do not have a choice in that. That's, sorry. If Etsy tomorrow was like, we're charging 10% transaction fee, you'd be like, oh, I've already built my community on Etsy.
Yeah.
Might have to start over on Squarespace or like let all my followers know.
Right.
That's an extra step.
And that's another part of the marketing aspect too, is that even though Etsy is easy for initial marketing, the long-term marketing of building an email list is something you're not going to get through Etsy. You have to get that through Squarespace or through, again, for the purpose of this conversation, we're just comparing Squarespace,
of course.
But yeah. Okay, public perception and then trust and safety net. I feel like this is basically like the marketing exposure one where it's like, Etsy has that, like, it has the reputation, it has all these other things kind of built into it.
100%.
But again, if you have that following already built up, it's not going to make that much of a difference.
Well, that's kind of what you were saying earlier, is that, like, we've had this discussion before, like, you know, in the car and whatnot.
So many,
many conversations. We have so many of these in the car driving to basically to go get food.
Yeah, and we're basically like, should we record this for the podcast? Like, no, let's not.
Let's just hang out.
Yeah, let's hang out.
Yeah.
Which I'm glad for. You know, we need our just solo friend time.
We need our space.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway, you were saying.
You were talking about how, like, when someone says I have an Etsy, you're like, yeah, of course you do. You make stuff. But when someone goes like, oh, I have my own website, there's a small bit of like, ooh.
I didn't even think about that. That's a whole other aspect where it's like, yes, oh my god, that's all, yeah.
Etsy's more well known though.
Etsy's more well known, but it's true. It's like, in my mind, buying something through somebody's website, even though I know, like, on a intellectual level that, like,
it doesn't matter.
That it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Etsy feels less professional in the traditional sense of the hierarchical term than somebody who has their own, than someone who is selling their work through their own website.
You get the milk from the cow with your own website.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're not buying from the butcher. Like with Etsy, you might be buying from the butcher, but like I don't think meat and milk mix.
I'm not. I'm struggling to see the links in this metaphor. I mean, I'm here for it.
Look, hear me out.
But I think
I'm just saying there's a scale, and in between the scale of like Tiki-Taki, which is like Walmart, and like I bought it directly from the artist. It's the scale seems like as you go down, like buying it directly from the artist is like I have a table and I handed you the product itself, and for me that seems a little bit more personal, a little bit more connected, if that makes sense. Like if I buy directly from Hammerly, it feels more personal than going to his Etsy and then buying.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, but we're not really comparing like in-person sales for this specifically, but
I'd much rather buy it from like a direct website of the person who I am a fan of than like peruse Etsy and be like, oh, pretty colors.
Oh,
you know, like it feels more. One feels more.
Well, but it's not necessarily like it's not one or the other in that case.
No, of course
because there's a lot of folks that I buy from Etsy who I follow and I've been following for a while. It's just they happen to sell their work on Etsy versus their own website.
Right.
But
the
public perception is different for each one. One, like selling your own work through your own website has a more professional feel to it, even though it's not necessary to sell from your own website to be a professional.
Yeah, it feels more, to me it feels more like you have a platform rather than you're on a platform. If that makes sense. Like when you're on Etsy because people are on Etsy selling their work on Etsy. When you have a website, it feels more curated. It feels like, you made a website, you made a space for your work. And it's not to say Etsy doesn't have that, but like the social perception when someone tells me like, I have my own website, I go, oh.
Yeah.
It's probably just all you, 100% you.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah. Mm-hmm. But when they go and have an Etsy, I go, well, okay, well, I can find your work on Etsy then.
Yeah. Well, but you can have both. Like, because I have my own website and I have an Etsy.
You're cheating.
No. I think that's a very valid option because, again, I wanted my own space. I wanted to have a professional looking website where it was all my own stuff. It's just that I wanted to sell on Etsy because the fees at that time made more sense for me to continue selling on Etsy. Now it's kind of getting to that point where it may not be.
Etsy's catfishing some of y'all.
That actually reminds me. So let's go into our last little comparison: fees, Etsy versus Squarespace.
I'm pro Squarespace just because like anytime news comes out about Etsy when they're like, oh, they're kind of from their creators, I'm like, yeah. They do that in small increments. Yeah. Every year they do like something tiny in small increments where they, you know, it blew my mind to hear you talk about like the whole $10,000, $100,000. I'm like, yeah, they forcibly make you advertise. Mm-hmm. You're making me do something with my work that I didn't want to do. You're controlling part of my work. I don't want to do that.
Yeah. And it may be beneficial for some people, but it's like that line is, again, it's just something else to consider. I feel like the biggest thing with fees is that if you don't sell that much work, and especially if what you sell is on the less expensive side, I think Etsy, if you're just looking at fees, Etsy is the better option. But if you're selling more work and you're selling more expensive work, I think eventually Squarespace becomes the more cost-efficient option.
Here's what I think.
Okay, tell me.
If I was big brain.
Okay.
Right?
Let's go big brain.
If I was big brain, here's what I would do if I was on Etsy. If I was on Etsy and then I realized the ship was starting to like get a little unruly, you know, the ship was starting to sink a little bit, I would jump on this movement and be like, hey, everyone, Etsy's giving me the suck, and I don't like it. Rare, I know. So I'm going to my own platform, and and then people who are paying attention to the movement at the moment, would jump. You know what I mean? Like, I would ride that wave for a second. I don't usually like riding waves.
I was about to be like, what? Donte's riding a wave?
It feels cheesy.
Shit.
But if there's a time in which you're gonna exit us, like, pick it wisely.
Yeah,
make sure that people know where you're going and like attract people, because that's the only way you survive on Squarespace, is by having people go to Squarespace instead of Etsy.
Yes. And I honestly, like, I'm kind of thinking about jumping on that boat. I think what I will probably do is have a sale where I sell just a few of my pieces on Squarespace and see what the process is like. And if it's terrible, you know, I mean, but it sounds like with things like Shippo, it really wouldn't be that different.
Oh, I love Shippo so much. I love Shippo so much.
And last thing with like ease of, I guess this falls under like the ease of use category, but one of the things that I want to do, especially for my Patreon, is have like an early access option.
Oh, yeah.
So right now with Etsy, there's no way for me to like stagger who's seeing my work. But if I had my own website, if I sold my work through my own website, then I could be like, hey, patrons from my Patreon get access to the store a full day before everybody else does. And that's another way to be like, to encourage people to sign up for my Patreon. And that's that kind of thing. So, so I don't know. Well,
I do that too.
Yeah.
So what I do for my Patreon is that I make a load of stuff, and then I take all the pictures and whatnot, and then I make a YouTube video, usually about 30-40 minutes long, and I just do a slideshow with some music in the background of all the pots and all the angles. You just take the pictures and drag them directly in there and call it a day. You know what I mean? And I tell my patrons, like, hey, by the way, I usually put my pots up like a day early before like actual people know. So by the time by the time non-patrons get there, they're like, half the store's gone. And I'm like, it's because my patrons get first dibs. Like, they know before I take they know. They know everything I do. Yeah. They get a bunch of stuff. But that's one thing that you can do on Squarespace that, like, Etsy, not so much.
Yeah, there might be a way to do that with Etsy Pattern, but again, Etsy Pattern is its own whole other thing. Like, Etsy Pattern is basically Etsy's version of like make your own website, because there's more. It's like you kind of sort of get your own interface that looks like a website, but then again, there's all other kinds of fees, and that's like
do they charge you for that?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, they charge.
Of course, they charge you for that too.
Yeah. No, like one of these days, we'll we can maybe do some more detail talking about Etsy Pattern, and again, we'll get someone who is on Shopify and compare, because that's another big thing that a lot of people have been saying, like, hey, if you don't want to do Etsy anymore, get yourself a Shopify.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know that much about it, so we'll.
I almost went Shopify.
What's that?
I almost went Shopify.
Okay, well, we'll have to have that conversation.
And then I was like, the name sounds like Firefly. I can't do it.
Shopify, Firefly.
It's
Firefly.
Firefly. That show that never got seen through.
Give us another season of Firefly. That's what I say.
Give me another season of No Game No Life, and I'll be happy for at least.
No Game No Life.
Give me another season.
That was such a good anime.
Finish off No Game No Life, and I'll be pretty happy. You sneezed the camera out of position.
My sneezes are just that powerful.